This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, I am going to be joined by a legend over in Starkville who played in 43 games at Mississippi State, starting 40. He passed for a Mississippi State record 12,315 passing yards and 94 touchdowns from 2020 through 2023. Will Rogers will join me on this edition of the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
And with that, I want to welcome you inside another edition of the Stingray Show. My guest this evening that I'm about to bring on passed for over 300 yards in 21 games as a Mississippi State Bulldog and passed for over 400 yards 9 times as a Bulldog. And the most impressive stat, he was 227 yards shy of passing for 15,000 yards for his career. Help me welcome to the Stingray Show the former Bulldog and former Washington Husky quarterback, Will Rogers. Will, how are things with you? And thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Things are good. Just hanging out, enjoying some time at home, and yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Will, is there any opportunity that we might see you on an NFL roster this fall?
I mean, hopefully. I mean, that's kind of what I'm shooting for, but at the same time, you kind of have to be realistic about things, and time's ticking on that.
So, Will, your dad is the current offensive coordinator at Brandon High School. What was growing up around the game like for you?
I mean, I just remember being at field houses ever since I can remember, like from Winston Academy, in the early days till Brandon for the last 15 years now. So it's been fun. I've got to experience a lot of good things that kids my age probably didn't get to experience. So just being able to like be around the locker room, be around the guys, I really think it helped me like once I got into a locker room, just like the camaraderie, the time with the guys you get to spend in the locker room, just all of that. So it was really great, and I'm super thankful that I had that opportunity.
Now, growing up, who were some of your idols that you wanted to mold your game like?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, obviously, like being from the South, all you watch is SEC football.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really started young with like Tebow. Like obviously, Tim Tebow is like an SEC legend, and in my opinion, one of the best college football players of all time. Um, and then it kind of just went from there. I mean, even when I was like in high school, just like being able to watch some of the guys like Tua, Joe Burrow, but it was always SEC guys, So, um, you hear the saying, it just means more, but
Yes.
until you actually are in it and see it, you don't really understand that. But I mean, if I had to just say like one person that I've really tried to like model my game after, it has to be like Gardner Minshew, just
Yeah.
because being from Brandon, he was in high school my fifth, sixth, and seventh grade. That was his 3 years in high school. So I was there with my dad, like sitting in the press box, getting to see like how Gardner did things, how he operated, how he worked. So for me, just like having somebody like that in front of me when I was when I was growing up, it's just a huge blessing. So.
Now, we'll talk about your relationship with Garner Minshew, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Gardner since I can remember, I mean, I still remember like the phone call that my dad gave me when he came in as a freshman in high school. Like I still remember where I was and what happened, and um, yeah, I can remember like when Brandon used to do 7-on-7 tournaments, like at Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Like I was the snapper. So yeah, I got to be around a lot. I got to do a lot, and I mean, we still talking to this day. So it's been an honor for sure.
Will, you were a three-star quarterback coming out of high school. Besides Mike Leach, who all was recruiting you to come play quarterback?
So my first offer was from Coach Leach at Washington State.
Yep.
And then I think Mississippi State offered me like a week later, I think. So Coach Moorhead and Coach Briner, they offered me a week later. Um, Southern Miss offered me, Tulane offered me, and Troy offered me. And those were my only like 4 or 5 offers. Um, but it was crazy because like I felt like this was before the NIL, this was
Yeah.
before all that. So a lot of schools like recruited one quarterback a class.
Yep.
So, once you commit, they're done recruiting that class. So I can remember like the week that I committed, it was January after my junior season I committed.
Mhm.
And we were working out, and I called Coach Moorhead and told him I committed. Well, Georgia had been texting me a couple of days before, and
Wow.
they were getting scheduled to fly down to watch me throw that week.
Mhm.
Uh, Kirby and somebody else were coming down to watch me throw, and yeah, I committed, and I never really heard from Georgia again. So kind of crazy. And then like there was like a crazy story. Like I committed, and then I even got like a Twitter DM from Pete Golding, who was the defensive coordinator at Alabama,
Yeah.
and he was like, I don't know, I don't know. Like I felt like after I committed, if I would have waited like a month, maybe
Mhm.
2, like I probably would have had like some really really big time offers. But coming out of high school, like the biggest thing for me is that I wanted to play for my home state.
Yes.
I wanted to stay close to home, and it meant a lot to me just to play for Mississippi, being from here.
And you talked about Miss Mike Leach there at Washington State up in Pullman. Did you
hmm
ever take a visit to Pullman and Washington State?
I never took a visit, no, and I probably should have, but I committed so early. Like I committed, you know, I guess that's a whole year before I would have been early enrolling, which is kind of unheard of these days. But yeah, I committed early. I never really got out to Pullman. But you could tell that even after I committed, they were the only school that like stayed on me.
Mhm.
There wasn't anybody else coming in and trying to flip me late in my recruitment process. So yeah, you could tell that they really like me. Like I can remember Coach Spurrier calling me, and I can remember Coach Leach calling me, and like they were like, "Well, do you want a cowbell that bad? Like, do you like the cowbells that bad?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do because I want to play for my home state,
Mhm.
but also like these guys were throwing like 6 touchdowns a game. Like this is definitely the offense that you want to play in." So but it definitely worked out for me. Best of
Oh, yeah.
both worlds for sure. So
You enrolled at Mississippi State on January the 6th of 2020, and then boom, the pandemic happened.
mm.
Talk about that entire experience of trying to navigate and learn the air raid offense during COVID.
Well, I was very fortunate because it's a lot of like the similar stuff, some similar stuff that we do in high school, just from like a scheme standpoint. Um, but it's just called different stuff. And as soon as that staff got hired at Mississippi State, I kind of started to learn the offense, watch film, and just kind of almost like teach it to myself. But it's a credit to like coaches like Drew Hollingshead, Trey Tinsley, the late Dave Nickel, like a lot of coaches really helped me out once I got there, and I'm just super thankful for those guys. But it was tough during the pandemic. Really, I remember being really upset just because I wanted to go through spring practice, and that's the reason that I enrolled. Uh, but when the pandemic happened, we actually me and my buddies around here kind of got a weight rack from the high school, and we were working out 4 or 5 days a week, just kind of staying ready for the moment you get called back. So we made it work.
I want to go back just a little bit. What was it like for you meeting Coach Mike Leach for the first time, and what was your interaction with him?
I think the first time I met him was at the team meeting where he was introduced as the new coach. I'd never really met him in person until then, but honestly, the interaction was like very brief, which is that's right on cue for Coach Leach because he's not gonna. I mean, as a player, like if you think he's just gonna like you because of your name or you know, being a recruit, you're dead wrong. Like he's really gonna start to make a connection with you if you're out there like working hard and making plays and things like that. So that's just kind of who he was. Uh, but it was fun, man. We had such a good ride and so many special memories for sure.
And let's talk about one of those special memories. The first game of the 2020 season, it came at LSU, in which Mississippi State drilled the defending national champions, LSU, 44-34. Talk about that experience of seeing Mississippi State dominate the defending national champions.
Well, I actually had COVID, so I was getting ready to go on the plane Friday morning, and Friday morning I got a call from the trainer and said that I had tested positive.
Oh,
So I didn't go to LSU, and I couldn't play at home against Arkansas.
okay,
So the first day that I was able to come back was the Sunday after the Arkansas game.
right.
Um, but it was awesome. I mean, to set the standard like that, I don't know if it was good or bad for us that was our first game and throwing for all those yards, but KJ absolutely lit it up, and
Yeah.
it was kind of fun to see like what this offense can be when things are clicking. But they were clicking on a different level that day.
Your first game action came on the road later that season against Kentucky. What do you remember about your first experience of a first game action there in 2020 versus Kentucky?
Man, I remember just being like ultra nervous. And then I remember I threw a ball that I thought Osiris was going to catch in the end zone, and the guy like took it away from him when he caught it. Um, so that was like my first interception. That probably should have been my first touchdown.
Mhm.
Uh, but I just remember thinking like, man, like I got to get better, and it starts like this week, and it starts in practice, and I think that was the best thing about Coach Leach is he just preached practice so much, and like he was just like, well, if you just do it like we did in practice, that's all you have to do. Like you don't have to do anything else just because we're playing a different team. Like just do what you're coached to do. So I mean, I felt like we went from Kentucky to Texas A&M where I played really well, um, and then had to come in against Alabama,
Mhm.
didn't play well, and then started, gaining some traction at the end of that season, which was fun to see. And once you, as especially like your first year with the new coaching staff, you have so many new players. I mean, I remember it being like me, Woody Marks, Tulu, Wally.
Right.
Austin hadn't played a ton up to that point. Malik Heath, it was his first year in the SEC coming from JUCO. Like, there's so many guys that like were playing big time football against big time teams, like on the road at Georgia, and hadn't played yet. So once you start playing well with a group of young guys, especially in the SEC, it's really encouraging for the next couple years.
You just mentioned that you were ultra nervous in the Kentucky game. Your first start actually came on homecoming of the 2020 season against Vandy there in Starkville. What do you remember most about your first start of your college career?
I think it helped me a lot coming in, and I think I came in 3 games in a row before that.
Right.
So I think it helped me a lot to just kind of be in the action a little bit before my first start. Um, but I remember just being like really excited. We got off to like a really fast start, and then we just kind of died down. So even like we won the game, but I remember like going away from the game and thinking kind of the same thing, like, man, like we've got some work to do, we've got to get better, and we haven't like quite found it yet,
Mhm.
like found the rhythm of the offense and find like how this thing is supposed to move and operate. And I really feel like the next two weeks after that, we kind of found our stride. Going on the road at Georgia was big for us to
Yeah.
go on the road with 47 people or whatever it was due to COVID, and play pretty well on offense. Kind of get after them there pretty good and have a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter. Um, and then you go to Oxford and play the Egg Bowl and
Yeah.
throw it all over the yard, and probably should have won that game too. But it is what it is. But I really think those 2 weeks right there were really big for us, even though we didn't win those
Yeah.
2 games. Just like the rhythm and the flow of the offense, where we were starting to hit things and find where the plays are supposed to hit. Because that's the thing with the offense. It's not a ton of plays, but it's all about repetition. It's all about being on the same page with the receivers.
And Will, you just talked about it. Georgia, you guys have 47 players available due to COVID, and you guys went toe to toe with number 13 Georgia in Athens. How did you guys do that? And how did you almost pull off that upset?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think Georgia's a lot better than number 13 in the country. First of all, I mean, they won the national championship the next 2 years with the same players. So, man, I honestly have to give a lot of credit to just Tyson Brown, our strength coach.
Yeah.
And I was actually I was with Isaac Smith yesterday, and we were just hanging out and talking, and he was talking about how much he loved Coach Brown, and um, I was like, man, it's crazy, just like the attitude and the toughness that he had as a strength coach. It really transferred over to us, and that's the same attitude that we had on the field. And I tell people all the time, like, we lost games. We lost games. We didn't beat Alabama. We didn't do this, but we were some tough dudes. And when we were out there playing, there were a lot of teams that expected to walk over Mississippi State, and a lot of those teams we beat. We beat Auburn twice in a row. We beat A&M twice in a row, and those guys have a lot of better players than us. Um, so I mean, going back to the Georgia game, I really just think it was like a mentality that we had. We had 47 guys, but um, I remember just thinking like pregame, like, I don't care. Like, who cares that we have 47 guys? You can only play 11. So that's the kind of attitude that I had. But I remember just having like this feeling, like pregame, where it was like I kind of like where we're at right now.
Mhm.
It's a night game in Georgia. It's a cool atmosphere. And I actually remember like walking up to Coach Leach and just like telling him pregame, he was like, "Hey, if we win the toss, I want the ball. Like, we're not coming here to Georgia just to show up and lose. I don't want to do that." So it was a fun experience for sure. Obviously, wish we could have won the game,
Yeah.
because that's the main thing. But even though we didn't, to go on the road and play that good of an opponent and put up a good fight like that with
Yeah.
47 people, um, it says a lot about your team, and it says a lot about your program, and the trajectory of the program for the next 2 years.
And Will, not many teams, being with 47 players, could do that, especially at Georgia at night. That was impressive.
Oh yeah, there's not a lot of teams, and I'm not gonna name any teams or
Right.
anything like that, but there's a lot of teams that would have wouldn't have even showed up,
Right.
So
Major props to you guys for that one.
yeah, that was awesome. It was a fun experience, and you know, wish we could have pulled that one out. That would have been one of the greatest.
Now, the very next week, you had your best performance of that season, passing for 440 yards against Ole Miss there in Oxford, and that was your first experience of the Egg Bowl. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool, just like growing up in the rivalry. A lot of my family went there. I knew what it was like. I knew its true hatred and things like that. But um, I think the week before, because we had some success, like we were ready. We were really ready to let it rip. And I remember Wally just going crazy. Like, I mean, his catch, run after catch. I remember he caught that one-handed ball on our sideline. Like Wally was doing his thing. I think Malik had a couple touchdowns, but um, we went down. I think we went down 14-0 in that game, maybe, and got it back to 14-7. Got it back to 21-14 at halftime. And I remember just being like really, really close. Like I felt
Mhm.
like we were really, really close to like tying it up. And I think we scored to make it 21-24. And I remember just being like, man, if we can just get a stop right here, like just get a stop, like I think we're rolling. And they actually went down and scored, um, and then we had to kick a field goal to make it close, and it was 31-24 at the end of the day. But it was fun for sure. It was fun for sure, and I mean, I'm not like I don't like hate anybody or anything like that. I definitely have respect for Ole Miss and how they're doing things right now, and
Right.
Coach Kiffin and things like that. But it's a fun game to play in for sure.
Now, I always love asking players this. Will, for you, what was your welcome to the SEC moment? Like, okay, this is majorly different.
Huh. I mean, Kentucky was one thing, but just like like the the size of the D linemen, and even like playing in the Big Ten last year, like there's some big players, but it's every week in the SEC. Like
Yeah.
there's got everybody has like size and speed that is way better than anything else, And I know there's this huge debate on like the SEC or the Big Ten, and I just think it's night and day difference, just of like caliber of teams from top to bottom, caliber of players, more depth in every position. So,
Now, to finish the 2020 season, Mississippi State defeated Tulsa, but it was muddied a little bit because of that brawl at the end of the game. Looking back, what caused that nasty brawl after the game? And I've got to ask, where were you during that brawl?
okay, so I was actually there's the famous picture of Coach Leach standing in the stands taking a
Yeah.
picture. I was standing right beside him. So I was in the stands as well taking a picture. And I remember like jumping down off the stands, and there was this scuffle going on the other side of the field. So I didn't know anything about like the kick in the face or
Right.
anything like that until I saw it in the locker room after the game, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Uh, but it was kind of bad because we hadn't won a bowl game in like 3 years up to
Mhm.
that point, maybe since like I don't know. I guess did we win one in 2017? Yeah, 2017.
Mhm.
Against Louisville was the last time that we had won a bowl game. So it had been 3 years,
Right.
and I was just like, man, we haven't won a bowl game in 3 years. This is all people are going to be talking about now, not us winning this game.
Mhm.
But I don't know really what caused it. I think E40 Errol Thompson hit somebody on the uh, onside kick, and I guess they didn't like how hard somebody
Right.
got hit on their team, and they kind of started jawing and things like that. And I don't know. I mean, maybe even pregame. Yeah, there was a lot going on pregame too, huh? I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember that. So I mean, really from the get go, it was just like
Mhm.
I don't know. We have some people on our team that just will fight for fun. So I don't really pay attention to all that.
Now let's talk about the 2021 season. Mississippi State started that season 2-0 with wins over La Tech and then North Carolina State from the ACC. Talk about starting the 21 season 2-0.
I mean, that's exactly how you want to start out. Obviously, you want to beat La Tech by more than 1 point, but to start out 2-0 is kind of how you want to draw things up. And
Right.
um, we really hadn't played well on offense. Uh, really, any of those first like 4 games. We would click at times. Like we started. I mean, we were up seven. Well, we might have been up 17-7 against Memphis and lost.
Hmm.
Um, and we just really like hadn't fully clicked in ways that you have to do to win big time games like that on the road. Um, and obviously the uh punt play against Memphis was kind of BS, but it is what it is. We probably shouldn't be punting the ball anyway, but um I really felt like that year we really didn't click until Texas A&M. And that was like the first time playing on the road at Texas A&M that we clicked. Uh, but yeah, starting 2-0 is kind of what you want to do, and then um, really like the next 2 weeks, man. Like those are especially the Memphis game, but it was just like definitely one that got away, and we let there's 2 specific games that year that we let get away, and I think in my whole college career, from a talent standpoint, that's probably the best team we've had is 2021. Now it hurts because we were all young still, and we
Right.
were that was like our really like our first true year of playing college football. I mean, we had been thrown in the fire in 2020, but it's a different aspect when you put fans in the stands and you have to go on the road and play somebody and things like that. But um, from a talent standpoint, that was probably the best team that we had, and we definitely let some get away that year.
Now, to cap off that season in which you guys went 7-6, Mississippi State matched up with Mike Leach's former team, Texas Tech. Did Coach Leach ever make a comment to you guys about facing his former football team?
Oh no, no, he wasn't big into like outside motivation or things like that. Because to him, it's just like it's just another game.
Yeah.
Like we should just be trying to do the same thing that we do every game, and that's win. Like if you're setting standards on what game is more important than another game, then I don't think that's healthy for anybody. So I mean, he kind of told us just kind of go out there and play, which
Mhm.
we obviously did not play well that game, and you know, I mean, bowl games are a little difficult to kind of gauge things, but we didn't get the job done, and we weren't prepared to play that game by any means, and um, it was such a disappointing end to the season where you don't have your best stuff against Ole Miss, and
Right.
then you don't play well in the bowl game too. It was just so disappointing because we went on like a 4 or 5 week stretch there at the end where we were playing really, really well. Um, so I don't know what it was. I mean, obviously we won nine games the following year,
Right.
But from a talent aspect, that 2021 team was very, very talented, and we just let definitely 2 games get away. Probably one more than that too.
Now, to start the 2022 season, the second game of the year, Mississippi State took a trip out west to take on Arizona, and the kickoff time was 9:30 p.m. local time. What was it like to experience playing a football game so late local time, and talk about the game itself?
I mean, we really didn't think much of it. Like we didn't do anything different than we normally do for an away trip that week, I remember, but I just remember like being in the hotel at Tucson and just being like, man, get to watch some football today, you know? So kind of lay down in your bed and relax, and um I remember Alabama and Texas were playing that day, so I definitely got to watch that game, and
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, you kind of get to relax throughout the day and then go kick off and play Arizona that night. But it was fun. It was a good game. I remember everybody talking about how hot it was going to be, and I didn't even think it was that hot out there, you know, because of the humidity and things like that. It didn't bother us at all. Uh, but it was a fun, great game, and they kind of came out hot. I remember they scored the first drive, and then we went down and scored, got a turnover, scored. Um, and it was like a 8-point game out of the third quarter, and then we kind of pulled away with it after that. But yeah, it was a good time.
And we'll talk about the trip back because there was a little bit of a issue getting back to Starkville.
Yeah, that was the worst part of the trip because you. All right, so the game starts at, what was it, 10 o'clock out there? I don't know,
9:30.
9:30. It's local time, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to. I mean, the game's 4.5 hours. I mean, I don't think we left Tucson until about 2 a.m. Um, we flew directly back because I mean, when the game ends, it's not like you just drive across the street and get to the airport. You
Right.
know, you have to go in and shower. A lot of times, the away locker room showers are tiny, and there's probably a press conference you have to do. Then you get on the bus. You have to wait for everybody to get on the bus, and then you drive to the airport. Everybody has to get out, get checked, get on the plane. You know, it takes a little longer than you think, but um, we were getting back, and I remember we were scheduled to get back around like 9 maybe, because I was gonna get off the bus and go straight to church that morning. Um, and I remember like us getting close, and I was like, all right, we should be like kind of landing now. And the pilot comes on, and he's like, well, we can't land right now because of fog in the area, so we're doing circles around GTR. We'll keep you updated. And he comes back on the thing, and he's like, well, we got to fly to Birmingham now because we're running out of fuel, and we got to change pilots. So we flew to Birmingham, landed, changed pilots because that guy had been flying for too long, and yeah, I think we landed at like 11:30. I think we ended up having like meetings, and we had practice that night,
Oh my
which was
God.
crazy because we usually on Sundays we usually have the mornings off until about like 2, and then you have to come in, do your lift, and start meetings for the next week. And I think we just kind of flipped it. So I think we landed at like 11, and everybody just went home and went straight to sleep. And then we were back up there at like 5 or 6 or something, you know? So,
And Will, could you not have landed at the Starkville airport instead of going to
uh,
GTR?
that's above my pay
I got
grade.
you. I got
That's
you.
above my pay grade.
I mean, it would just make sense, though, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. That's a really good question. That's the first I've heard of that though, but
All right. So later that season in 22, you were a part of the biggest comeback in Mississippi State history against Auburn, down 24-3, and came back to win it in overtime 39-33. Talk about that incredible comeback versus Auburn.
Wait, hold on, was that the year? No, we're mixed up because the first in 21 we were down and we beat them. But then the next year I think we were up 24-3 and they came back. And then we had to beat them in overtime.
Right.
Yeah. I just I remember playing like we were playing so well. We came out hot. We were winning. We went down and scored and then I think we went down and scored again, and I remember it being like 17-3, and then like Tulu returned a kickoff, and like we were really getting after them. And then I remember they kind of were getting to me a little bit, like they sacked me once, and then like the very next play, like I was trying to throw the ball, and guy hit me and stripped it out of my hands while I was trying to throw the ball, and just like they kind of started playing really really well, and obviously. If you don't think Auburn has really good players, you're crazy. They've always had really, really good players, especially on defense. Um, and yeah, couple turnovers here and there, and they kind of started picking up some traction with running the quarterback and things like that. And next thing you know, we're losing. And I can remember, I guess we were down 3, but we got the ball back and we were all kind of like, oh crap, like we really just blew a lead. But we got the ball back and we were able to drive down and kick a field goal. But the crazy thing is that Massimo, he he made the field goal 3 times because they iced him 2 times in a row, and he made it all 3 times. So yeah, shout out to him because we had lost 2 in a row with Kentucky and uh, Alabama, and then we needed to win that one. So yeah, we were able to tie it up and go into overtime and seal the deal. So that was awesome.
That's right, because the Auburn game that y'all had the biggest comeback was on the road at Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and that the other one where you guys had the lead was in Starkville, and they
Yeah.
fought back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, later that season, you finally got your first win of the Egg Bowl in Oxford 24-22. Talk about winning your first Egg Bowl game there in 2022 versus Ole Miss.
I just remember being so excited, like just to win the game. I didn't care how I played, or I didn't play great by any means, but I remember just being like, whatever it takes to win this game. We have to win this game.
Right.
And I just remember being like so excited. Like you really don't realize like how, like we had lost my first 2 years, and that kind of stung. But to finally win it and have like the trophy there around for a whole year, like there's so much joy in that, and just like seeing how happy the guys were in the locker room, and just like I mean, we probably celebrated for like a week back in Starville with the guys, just like hanging out and enjoying it. And I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Now, Will, unfortunately, a few weeks later, tragedy strikes as your coach, Mike Leach, passes away from a heart attack. What was your initial reaction when you heard that unfortunate news?
Just extremely, extremely like sad, and just confused, like because he was at practice the day before. And um like I remember we were at practice the next day and he wasn't around. And if coach isn't like around, like at the like at the like the pre-start of practice where like you're just kind of getting out there, like walking through and things like that. If he's not around, you really don't think anything of it because he's never at the pre-practice stuff.
Right.
And he would always walk down from practice, and right when we were about to start and go to pat and go, we would do bull in the ring every single day to start every single practice. And that's when I kind of was like, all right, there's something going on, and I didn't know if, you know, I had kind of suspected it that something was up because I knew he wasn't feeling great. But yeah, I obviously did not expect a heart failure or anything like that. But
Right.
just really, really sad, and just felt for him and his family more than anything, So
Now, Will, please describe for us what that entire situation was like, going from Leach passing away to trying to find a new head coach to replace him, while also preparing for the bowl game versus Illinois.
I mean, it was just I remember just being like a lot, and um the craziest thing about the whole situation, and a lot of people, and I guess Mississippi State fans too, forget about this, but we didn't have an athletic director at the time.
Right.
So not only did we just lose our coach, but we also did not have an athletic director to make a hire, and that's when I kind of started just like getting worried, and like I'm just like, all right, well, what do you think? And like, what do you think we should do? And I really didn't probably voice my opinion enough on some things when that was going on because, you know, I mean, I try and just do things the right way and understand like what my job is and things like that. But you have to look out for yourself in that business for sure. And um, it was tough, because we were trying to get ready for the bowl game. Everybody's they're thinking about the bowl game, but then they're also thinking about like, all right, well, like, what's the plan? Like not only players but coaches too. So um, I think once they decided to hire Coach Arnett, um, I think the biggest thing up until the bowl game, like I was all bowl game. Like I was like, all right, well, we got to win the bowl game. I wasn't thinking about anything else until the bowl game was over. Um, but I can remember just like, and I'm still close with a lot of the people that Coach Leach had brought from Washington State on the offensive side. But I can remember some of those people just being like, because you have to feel for those people. You come from Washington State, you win 4 games, then you win 7 games, then you win 9 games. So it's going upward every year, and then all of a sudden you don't have a job because a coach is trying to do something different on offense.
Right.
And it's just like, man, this is a really, really sticky situation. And But yeah, I can just remember until we got done with the bowl game, I was all locked in on the bowl game, trying to win the game.
We'll talk about the difficulty of playing in that bowl game versus Illinois, especially in a stadium that had a pirate ship and with Coach Leach loving pirates.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like kind of like emotional, like the whole week of practice. Like we were we were still doing everything the same, and he just like wasn't there. So it was just like kind of a weird feeling. But to be able to go out there and win the game in the way that we did was really, really cool. And Yeah, we had a good time. To be able to kind of seal the deal of that chapter the right way and go out with a win,
Right.
it's exactly what we wanted to do.
So Mississippi State hires Zach Arnett as its new head coach, and he completely changed the offense and went away from the air raid. When did you know that Zach Arnett was going to completely change the offense? And talk about the difficulty for you that it was of going to from the air raid to what he wanted to run.
I guess I kind of knew. I didn't really know until like honestly like springtime, like right before spring ball maybe. Because he had told me like several times, like we're not gonna change the offense. We'd be crazy to change the offense, like all this stuff, and we changed it. And I mean, it is what it is. Like I don't have anybody to blame for that situation. Like
Right.
it is what it is. But the offense was definitely different, you know.
Yes.
And that's not blaming Coach Barbet or anything like that, but there's some there's a lot of stuff that was going on, and I don't know if Coach Barbet is the right person to blame for that situation. So
Now, the second week of the 23 season, Mississippi State welcomed in Arizona to Starkville in a very big game in which Mississippi State won 31-24 there in overtime. Talk about that Arizona game there in 23.
I mean, it was fun. I remember like with the new scheme, like we were obviously running the ball more, but we felt like we could really like. I felt like the whole week of practice and the whole week leading up to it, we were just really talking about like, man, we're gonna get after these guys. Like we're gonna push these guys around. And uh, I remember like right out of the gates, we were just like smoking them, and we were like, dude, these guys aren't gonna be able to hang with us.
Right.
And we really got after them pretty good, and we're kind of pushing them around and doing what we wanted to. And um, they had some turnovers and things like that. But we didn't really capitalize off their turnovers, and that's why it was a close game. It should not have been a close game, but um, yeah, they kind of came storming back and made some plays, and in the end, we got it done. But yeah, we felt like we should have. I remember being in the locker room after, and it was almost like we lost, but we felt like we should have won by a lot more than we did.
Now, 2 weeks later, Coach Arnett went back to a version of the air raid against South Carolina in which you almost passed for 500 yards. Talk about that game there in Columbia, South Carolina, because you went off.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of like the games that like you're just kind of like in the zone, and it's hard to explain that, but
Right.
it's like you almost like don't even feel anything when the ball's coming out of your hand. It's just like you're so in the zone, it's crazy. But yeah, it was honestly, I think Coach Barbet did a really good job. I don't know if it wasn't the air raid stuff. It was
Right.
Coach Barbet had dialed up some shots that week, and we felt really good about some things. And um, yeah, we had some big time plays, and that's another one that we felt like we should have won. I mean, if we could have, maybe scored instead of kicked a field goal on a drive or two, or gotten a stop there late. But those are those were those were some good games. I mean, we were throwing it all over the place. I remember Tulu had like 250 that night or something. He was going crazy.
Yes.
But that atmosphere and being able to play that well under the lights at South Carolina was really really cool.
Now, Will, if you would talk a little bit more about how difficult the 23 season was for you as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it was just difficult for a lot of reasons. Like, I mean, kind of everything we just talked about, but like, you go from 4 wins to 7 wins to 9 wins. You want your senior year to be your best year.
Yeah.
Your coach passes away. The offense changes. Um, you know, you end up getting hurt and 6 games into the year. So I missed 5 weeks. So just like stuff like that, where it was like, man, like I can't catch a break right now.
Right.
So it was just difficult because everything just kept coming at me one after another. And um, but I remember like in the middle of the 2023 season, I was just like, man, at this point, the only thing I want to do is beat Ole Miss. Like,
Right.
I'm hurt right now. Like, if I could be playing, I'd be playing. You know,
Right.
I don't want to tell you like the exact injury that I had, but if I could be playing right now, I'd be playing.
Yes.
And I just remember like, man, at this point, the only thing I want to do is come back and beat Ole Miss.
Right. Do you need to take care of that?
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, I think we're good now.
You're fine. I just got
Sorry.
a little bit. I got a little bit more left. That's all, dude. I'm sorry. This is
No, dude. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. So on November the 24th of 2023, you entered the transfer portal and ended up going to Washington. Walk us through that process of going into the transfer portal and then going to another team.
I mean, it was difficult. Like, it was something I'd never really done before, obviously, and I really didn't know that much about it. But yeah, I entered the portal, and my phone just kind of started blowing up, honestly. Like, but I had kind of, I mean, I had watched college football, and I had seen what teams were throwing it around and doing some of the same things that I was doing my first 3 years, and that I wanted to do my last year, and I went to I was down to two schools, and there were two schools that flew to Brandon and met my family and did an in-home visit with me, and that was Miami and Washington.
Okay.
And I really just like Washington a lot. Like, I really the thing that sold me on Washington was honestly Coach Grubb. And so that's who flew down. So Coach Grubb and Coach Sheridan, who are now at Alabama, flew down, and we're sitting in my living room, and we were just talking, and I was just like, man, like, you can tell that Coach Grubb is a really, really good coach. And I felt like his mentality and how he was as a play caller and how he was as like a worker was very, very similar to how I am as a player.
Right.
So that's kind of what sold me on playing for Washington, and obviously the table kind of turned on me when I got there, and those guys ended up going to Alabama, but yeah, that was kind of what sold me to go to Washington.
So, Will, after Kalen left for Alabama, you re-entered the transfer portal. Do you regret not following Coach DeBoer to Alabama?
Well, I didn't get a chance to do that,
Okay.
so I didn't. I kind of re-entered thinking that that might be a possibility, but it wasn't. So I just decided to stay at Washington. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, that was kind of a after going through everything I went through in 23, and then you go to a place where you think everything's stable and it's a good staff and a good culture and a good program, and then for that to happen again, um,
Right.
it was just really, really disappointing, and but you have to make the most of it. So I tried to make the most of it, um, but it is what it is. So
Now, Will, with Washington joining the Big Ten, Washington had to play on the road at Rutgers, Iowa, at Indiana, and at Penn State.
oh yeah.
Please talk about how taxing the trips across the country became as you were there, and especially going back to back at Iowa and then back to at Indiana.
Yeah, it's bad, and it's very, very tough because it's throwing you, not even talking about from like a sleep aspect, because we played both of those games at 11 a.m. their time, which is 9 a.m. What? Yeah, I guess that'd be 9 a.m. body time for us. Um, which is just very, very difficult, because we practice in the afternoon at Washington, so we're not used to practicing and playing at 9 a.m. So it's hard, and flying across the country. I don't know what the record was, but it was not very good if you had to fly two time zones difference, you know. and that's just very, very difficult. And um, I guess that's just something you're going to have to get used to in the new era of college football with the Big Ten. Just flying all over the place. But yeah, we weren't very successful in that area, and yeah, I hope those guys at Washington can figure it out this year.
Now, one of your major wins of your career came in 2024 last year when Washington knocked off number 10 Michigan 27-17. What do you remember most about that Michigan game last fall?
I remember just having like a kind of like one of those feelings that I had like when I talked about like the Georgia game, when I talked about the South Carolina game, where it was like, man, we're about to get after these guys in pregame. And I mean, I think first play we hit a shot first play right out of the gate, and it was like, all right, here we go. And we kind of got on them pretty good. I think we're up 14-0, and I just remember it just being so fun and just so awesome. Michigan was a great team. They had great defense. You have Will Johnson, Mason Graham. Uh, a lot of good players on the defensive side of the ball. They were really, really good. And because Washington lost to them in the national championship the year before, a lot of guys on that team were really out for this game, and for us to come out with a win, it was just awesome, and one of the best things ever in my career.
Will, you being from Mississippi, you played in two intense rivalry games, the Egg Bowl, like we've talked about, and then the Apple Cup there in Washington. We all hear how nasty the Egg Bowl is, but you never hear anything about Washington versus Washington State. Discuss with us the experience of playing in the Apple Cup rivalry last fall.
Oh, it was fun too. I mean, it's a little bit different because I'm not from Washington, so I may not understand it as much. Uh, but I don't think people in the outside world really understand how much of like a hatred it is between Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Right,
Like it is, they don't like us and we don't like them, and
right,
um, yeah, it was. I feel like it's gotten better a little bit because of Kiffin and Leach.
right.
But I remember like growing up when it was Mullen and Freeze, and those guys did those guys did not like each other one bit. So
Right,
the Apple Cup was fun. It was cool because we got to play at Lumen in Seattle at the Seahawks Stadium,
right.
and it was a really, really good game. It came down to the wire where we didn't get in on the 1 yard line, but um, it's a good rivalry. But I think it to me it's the Egg Bowl and then the Iron Bowl.
Yes.
I think it's 1 and 2. So
Now, playing up in Washington, did you ever have the experience of playing in the snow? Because they get wild weather up there.
no, I didn't. I didn't. It doesn't snow too much in Seattle. I mean it'll be the cold, miserable rain,
Right.
but it never really snowed on us, so that was a positive. Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you, and then we will get out of here. The first one: what is the loudest away stadium that you played in the SEC and then in the Big Ten?
Big Ten. Big Ten is Penn State whiteout.
Okay.
Um, and then SEC would be at Texas A&M 2021.
Yeah. I would imagine with that many people, that would be electric.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It was awesome.
All right. Who was the biggest trash talker that you ever played against, either in the SEC or the Big Ten?
Oh, that's crazy. Uh, golly, what is this guy's name? He was the defensive tackle at Michigan. Grant, number 78, Kenneth Grant. He talked a lot of trash. Um, a lot of those guys from LSU like to talk a lot of trash too for some
Right.
reason. Which I mean they beat us, so I guess that's a pretty good reason. But yeah, a lot of the LSU guys. Alabama doesn't talk any trash at
Okay.
all, really. So,
All right. Which defense or a defender gave you the most fits and why in both the SEC and, of course, the Big Ten?
SEC, definitely Alabama because of how they, number one, they have just like a really good D line. So they're able like to stop the run with like 5 or 6. And then the way that like Coach Saban, like they match everything and they pass everything off on the back end, and um, it's 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 some elite stuff. You know, you have to have some really good players and some really good corners to do it, and
Right.
it's a really really complex defense because there's a lot of checks and you know, like if one receiver is on the ball and then he steps off the ball and that receiver steps on the ball, like they'll change the complete call of the defense.
Right.
And but for them to be able to do that and like master that, and you know they know your route trees and what you're running, and they're just sitting there waiting for it. It's you gain a lot of respect for it, you know, because they you can tell that they worked really hard to stop what we do. And um it was probably like the only team in the SEC that I played against that I really never really got after. Like I kind of got everybody a little bit at some point in my career, and I never really kind of got them how I wanted to.
Okay. Now, you may not want to answer this one, and if you don't, it's okay. But who was the best teammate you ever had, whether it be at Mississippi State or at Washington?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'll give you a couple guys, just
Okay.
a couple guys off my head are obviously, you know, Austin Williams, Chance Lovertich, some of the best guys and best teammates in terms of just pushing each other. Woody Marks is one of those guys. Dylan Johnson, Cole Smith, Jet Johnson, Buki Watson, Emmanuel Forbes, Jaden Wally. Um, you know, I'm leaving guys out
Right.
for sure. But those are guys that are just off the top of my head that,
Right.
you know, were hard workers at Mississippi State, you know, produce on the field, you know, produce in the weight room, like we're top guys of, you know, if you told me that's a Mississippi State football player, you know, these are guys that you would want to see.
Yeah.
So at Washington, I mean, a little different because I was there for such a short amount of time, but
Hmm.
uh, our linebacker Zoe, linebacker Carson Bruner, um, offensive side of the ball Denzel Boston, Jonah Coleman, um, you know, Landon Hatchett up front. You know, um, I mean, there was same thing. You know, the guys are the guys, and you
Right.
know the guys that I like being around and hanging around are the guys that you know do things the right way, and they're a great representation of the program.
Will, I've got four questions left and then we'll get out of here. The first one: which coach during your entire football career, whether it be high school, college, at Mississippi State, or at Washington, did you enjoy playing for the most and why?
I mean, probably my favorite coach is Tyson Brown, the strength coach, and I already mentioned him and shouted him out, but man, he was my favorite coach of all time, probably in college, especially. But I mean, obviously, besides Coach Leach,
Yes.
but just like his attitude and how he got us to work, and he has this he has this special lift during the week, and it's called FU Friday, and it's really all it is just like everybody is the normal attitude on a Friday is just to show up, get your work done, and get ready for the weekend. But that wasn't our attitude, and you know we showed up. We wanted Friday to be the best day of the week, and we wanted it to be the hardest day in the weight room and the hardest day running, and
Right.
um, just his attitude and his toughness that he showed towards us. I think it was a direct reflection of what you got on the field.
You played in 43 games at Mississippi State. Looking back, which game that you played in means the most to you and why?
Oh, dude. Uh, I mean, there's so many cool games. Like, you know, I guess because I'm out of it now, I'm thinking more about like accomplishments and like things that I'm probably gonna be able to tell my kids about one day. But
Right.
the Egg Bowl was great just to win and beat those guys, and um, setting the SEC record against Arkansas at home. That was a very memorable game, and when we beat Kentucky in 2021 and you break the completion percentage record, and we beat them by 2 scores, and they were ranked 12 in the country, and that
Right.
was a fun night too. So there was a lot of good memories, man. I think I just miss like the SEC. Like I missed the SEC my last year. I missed the Cowbells. I miss like the fans, lining up at the tailgates and the dog walk, and I miss all that a lot more than I miss just like playing a game. It sounds crazy, but I just miss like the atmosphere and
Mhm.
everything that came along with the game, that I miss.
You set a total of 30 single game, season, and career records at Mississippi State. When you hear that, what does that mean to you?
It's awesome, man. I mean, it's something that hopefully I'll be able to say for a long, long time. I was there for 4 years, and we threw the ball a lot when I was there. So hopefully nobody will catch some of those. But if they do, man, congratulations to them, and I'll be happy for them. But
Right.
you know, it's just cool to think about, man. And I'm honestly just like I try not to think about it too much, and I don't want to be boasting about it or anything like that. But man, it's cool, and it's an honor because I worked really hard, and I did a lot of good things for Mississippi State, I feel like. And I wish it would have ended a little better. That's kind of like my only thing, but I enjoyed my time there more than anything.
And Will, I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview with you. My final question for you: what is your favorite Mike Leach story that you enjoy telling that usually gets a ton of laughs?
Oh gosh. Oh man. Mm. There's so many. God, there's so many. Uh I mean, I always just go to the one where we were losing to Auburn, and we were trying to score. I think we were about one, but we were inside the red zone and we were trying to score, and we were in a timeout or something, and we were kind of going back and forth because he let the quarterback choose the play a lot, and he let the quarterback change the play a lot at the line of scrimmage, and we were kind of going back and forth, and he was saying what he liked, and I said, well, I like this play instead, and he was like, well, I really think we should run this play, and I was like, I really want to run this play, and he finally just turned around and looked at me, and he was like, all right, well, you better call something that'll score, and he was just like, you just don't hear many offensive coaches, first of all, give their quarterback the freedom to choose the play, and then
Right.
second of all, to say to them, all right, well, call something that'll score. I was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So yeah, that's probably my best story that I can tell on air.
I
So
got you.
yeah.
And also, that Coach Mike Leach loved to get off on tangents and just take a conversation anywhere and everywhere. What is one conversation that you had with your former coach where at the end of it you were like, how did we get on this topic?
It was every day in the quarterback room. I used to have to tell new quarterbacks like, hey, don't ask like questions. Like just say okay, because we're gonna be here all day if you just keep talking about nonsense. I remember when Chance, my roommate, who is the quarterback, another quarterback, and Chance got engaged after the Memphis game in 2022 at home. And I remember like Leach like the whole next week just like asking him question after question, and he was like, "Well, I wouldn't be getting married if I was 22 years old. I can tell you that." And I was just like, "Golly, we're never getting out of here."
So, Will, to wrap this up, and I know that you transferred in 2023 to Washington, but had you kept Mike Leach and he not passed away, how special, in your opinion, would that 23 team have been?
It would have been really good.
Okay.
It would have been really good. I think we'd give it a run for sure, because I think, you know, you obviously beat. You're obviously going to beat Southeastern Louisiana. You're going to beat Arizona.
Yeah.
LSU would have been a toss-up. They're really, really good, but we would have been way better on offense. I feel like we would have beaten South Carolina on the road.
Right.
I honestly felt good about Alabama at that point if we were able to get them against our full squad with Coach Leach there and everything. And I mean, I think you're looking at definitely 9 wins, maybe 10, and it's one of the, because we had 8 home games that year too, I think, and it's one of those things where, you just felt really, really good about it because of the momentum that we had built up over the last 3 years. And it's kind of like I know State fans talk about it all the time, but what if Mullen would have stayed in 2018?
Yes.
It's kind of like the same vibe I get with, because we were bringing everybody back,
Yeah.
everybody, and it's one of the greatest what ifs I still think about a lot. So, but.
So, Will, I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview with you. If you would, please let everybody know where they can keep up with you and follow you on social media. And the floor is all yours for anything else that you would like to say.
No, man. I mean, if you guys want to follow me, give me a follow. If not, I really don't care. And uh, I appreciate it, man. It's been such an honor. I mean, I enjoyed my time at Mississippi State more than anything, and such great people, such a great college town, and hopefully they'll do something for Coach Leach one day, and we can all get back to Starkville together and honor him. So that's kind of one of my biggest goals. I haven't been back for a game yet, obviously because I was playing last year, but if they decided to do something special for Coach Leach and honor him, I definitely would be there. So.
And Will, I do have to ask you in parting, because Coach Leach's offenses always threw the ball around. What is the sorest your arm ever was after a football game in the air raid?
Shoot, I think I threw it 67 times against Memphis that one year where we were trying to win late in the game. And yeah, it was more so like practice. Like,
Right.
You throw Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I remember Thursday, there were some days I was like, all right, I'm going to throw today, but it's like, I'm not throwing this thing as hard as I can. I got to take Friday off and get ready for the game. So definitely a lot of arm treatment.
So that I've always wanted to ask people in the air raid about the soreness of the arms, because oh my gosh, y'all never took a play off.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like you'd have to like ice your arm after every practice, do like prehab like before, like you got to take care of yourself, especially when you're throwing the ball that much.
So, Will, look, man, thank you. Good luck to you. And I will be praying that an NFL team picks you up this fall. We will definitely have you on during the season to talk about and analyze the quarterback play in the SEC, and have a wonderful rest of your summer, okay?
Likewise, man. I appreciate your time.
And Will, let me leave you with this. Go Huskies and Hail State.
Hail State, brother. Talk
Yes,
soon.
sir. Thank you. So, guys, that is going to wrap up my interview there with Will Rogers. Really do want to thank him for taking time out of his schedule and giving me an hour and 17 minutes of content